Hello everyone, and welcome to Inventor's Tic-Tac-Toe Day 2 tutorial for the iPad. I'm going to open up Citrix Workspace, and I'm going to open up Autodesk Inventor. By the end of this video, we are looking to have two grooves drawn somewhat similar to this. They have a specific width, they have a specific location left to right, but you'll notice the two rectangles are different lengths. As long as the rectangle is longer than our part, that's what we need. Once we're done with the sketch, we are going to cut those grooves out, and by the end of this, this is what your part should look like. Looking at our technical sketch, we're trying to draw these two grooves. So on the front view, we're going to try and draw a rectangle in that position at about that size. What we need to figure out is how wide is it from one side to the other, and if you carry those up a little farther, you'll see the arrows pointing to both lines tell you that the distance for the width is 0.15. The location, how far is the edge of my groove from the edge of my part? For this, the distance is going to be 1.06. With all of that in mind, I'm going to take you back to Citrix Workspace. I'm going to turn on my pointer, and I'm going to go up to File, Open, or you're going to see the little Open folder right here. File, Open. I want to look in my H drive. We talked about saving our tic-tac-toe part. There's all these different locations to save it. Down at the bottom, we're looking for our H drive. And then I need to scroll down a little bit in order to find my tic-tac-toe file that we saved in the last video. So I'm going to open up this part. When we finished, we had a box here. So we're going to start to draw the two rectangles. I'm in the 3D Model tab. I'm going to start a new 2D sketch. But you'll notice the three planes didn't pop up anymore. Because we have something drawn, it wants to know where do you want to draw on this part. So I'm going to bring my mouse over to the front of my part. When it turns red, I'm going to click, and now we're going to be drawing on the front of our part. Every time we do this, Inventor puts the origin in the middle. I'm going to take my mouse and come to the word front here and click on it so that everything's nice and centered in the middle of my screen. Since we started a 2D sketch, it's moved us into the Sketch tab. We are going to be using a 2-point rectangle. I'm going to click on that. It wants to know where is the first point, the first corner. The first corner is going to be somewhere in no man's land up here. It's pretty important that you don't click and drag. What you need to do is click and let go. Now taking your finger, you can move your mouse down, 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 down. And you'll notice that it has some dimensions on there that are continually moving. One of those dimensions at the bottom is highlighted in blue, meaning as soon as we start typing, it's going to replace the information in that highlighted area. This is probably the trickiest part of doing this on an iPad, what we're about to do right now. I'm going to drop down the ribbon at the top and select the keyboard. I'm going to pin this so that I still have my tab escape windows what you're going to notice is the keyboard is covering up my screen. There's no working around this first time. The first thing I want you to write is point. And you're going to notice that a point goes in here. This is exactly what we need. Now that I've started writing, I can move my mouse around without it changing the rectangle. I'm going to move my mouse into this area and I'm going to click. What it does now is it moves everything up so you can see where you're typing. Over here, we figured out the width of our rectangle was supposed to be 0.15. So we're going to type in, we already have the 0.15. Now what I want to do is switch from this dimension to this dimension, and we learned how to do that in the last video using a key on top of the keyboard in that pinned list called Tab. Over on the left hand side, I'm going to click Tab, and what it does is it switches from the width to the height. This is a very confusing thing for people. Everything we do in Inventor has a specific dimension. It has a specific size, specific location, except for this groove. We're going to take our mouse and move it down, 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 and make sure it's below our part here. You can think of this rectangle kind of like a knife cutting through a block of cheese. It's okay if there's room above and below with the knife. It's just going to cut air. So as long as I'm all the way down at the bottom, I'm going to click to place that, and then I'm going to hit the escape key. So this rectangle, when we're done, will cut out all of the stuff on our part here. It'll also cut air and cut air, which is okay. We just need to make sure it's longer than our part and has this correct size in here. Now, if something didn't go correct, you can back up, you can hit escape, you can hit undo, and you can rewind the video, and you can try to do that again. This is probably the hardest thing to put dimensions on, so keep trying. Next up, we need to locate this. Currently, this rectangle can go just about anywhere. On our sheet, we're going to see a dimension from the side of my rectangle to the side of my part is going to be 1.06. So I'm going to take my mouse. I'm going to click on the dimension tool right here. I'm going to take my mouse down, and we have to click on two different lines. First, I want to click on the left side of this groove. Click. You'll notice a dimension pops up asking you how long is that line. We're going to take our mouse, we're going to move it over, and we're going to click on the left side of our part. Now you're going to notice that the dimension goes between the arrows. We could technically put this number anywhere we wanted, but best practice is to put the number between the arrows and off your part. Once you have that number located between the arrows and off your part, you're going to click for a third time. We are going to take our pointer and we're going to click inside this edit dimension. I'm going to delete the dimension that's in there, and we're going to type 1.06. You can either hit the return key or click on the green check mark. So now I have located where this rectangle is supposed to be. It is the right size. It is longer than my part. We are ready to start cutting this out. Up to the top right, I have the green check mark. It says Finish Sketch. Very important, if you want to work with a sketch, you need to finish sketch. It's going to leave the sketch tab and come to the 3D model tab. And we're going to use that same tool we used in the last video. We're just going to use it slightly different. The extrude tool, if you click on it, is going to select that groove and try to make the groove poke out of your part. We're going to come into the properties here and change a couple things. Down here in the output section, currently it is set to join. We're going to come over to this next one called cut. You're going to notice it flips the direction. This is important. It's possible for it to try to cut out of your part. If you try to cut out of your part, it's going to give you an error. So once we select cut, you want to verify that it is cutting into the part. Next, you're going to see this is going really deep. Let's come look at our technical sketch. If I want to look at how deep this part goes, I need to look at the right side of my part, which is over here. When I zoom in, you're going to see those grooves. We can see them here and here. That is the side view. Here's the grooves we're drawing on the top view. We want to know what the depth of them is. Right here, from the front of my part to the back of the groove, you're going to see the arrows, says 0.19. So on my workspace, I'm going to take my cursor and click in distance A. I'm going to delete the 1 inch and I'm going to type 0.19. You'll notice it only goes in that little distance that we need. If we have told it to cut, if we have made sure it's going in the correct direction, if we have changed the distance, we can click OK. We're going to do the other groove right now, the other vertical, and I'm going to do it a little bit quicker. Feel free to pause, watch through this. If you know how to do it, you can go ahead and try to do it and then just keep going on the video. I'm going to start a new 2D sketch on the front of my part. I'm going to come to the front view. I'm going to create a 2-point rectangle starting somewhere in no man's land up above the part. Click and let go. Moving my mouse down, I want to tell it how wide this is supposed to be. So I'm going to open up my keyboard. Looks like I have to do it a couple times. I'm going to start typing point. And as soon as I've put the point in, I can now click in here and I can see what I'm actually typing. 0.15, and then I'm going to use the tab key with my finger. Once I've tabbed, I need to make sure I move down, down, down below my part. As long as it's longer than my part, I can click and let go, and I've placed my rectangle. Using my finger, I'm going to hit the escape key. I'm going to come grab a dimension. This time, we're going to dimension from the right side of your rectangle, click, to the right side of your part, click. You're going to move your mouse so that the number is between the arrows off of your part, and you're going to click to place it. We need to change this number. We're going to click inside here, delete the number that's in there, and we're going to write 1.06. you can either hit return or click on the green check mark there. So now I have the correct width, I know it's long enough, and I have the right location. So I'm going to green check mark, finish my sketch. If I need to, I can click this little home view right here in the navigation cube so that I can see everything. I'm going to come up to extrude. It is poking out, so we're going to tell it to cut in. I'm going to click in distance A, delete where it says 1 inch, and I'm going to type 0.19. Dropping my keyboard down, I have the correct depth now, and I can click OK. I have finished my 2 vertical grooves. They're on there. I need to make sure that this is saved. The first time we saved, we put it in a specific location in our H drive. Because it knows where to save that folder and that file, all we have to do is come up to this little symbol right here that looks like a floppy disk and click save. It doesn't look like anything happened, but what it did is it overrode the old file, and now this is your new saved tic-tac-toe. This is not like Google Docs or Google Sheets that'll auto save for you. You have to click save for yourself or click file, save, and it'll save it for you. This is the end of the Day2 iPad tic-tac-toe vertical grooves. Come back again for the next video where we will make the horizontal grooves.